Hi guys, I know it's been a fair time since we've done a video. We've been away on a summer break. We did a 1,600-mile road trip through California and into Arizona and Nevada, and ended up rafting down the Grand Canyon, which was great fun. The kids had a brilliant time. And also, as you might have seen, I've put a couple of very brief videos up. I've been painting some 28 Napoleonic Württemberg infantry. So as a result, war in the desert. Or the campaign for North Africa has taken a back seat. But I've just resumed it this afternoon. We're on game turn 30. Sorry for the shadow on the game map. This is about the fourth game turn, I think. We're in April 4, fourth game turn of this particular scenario. So since we did our last video, we finished off game turn 29, and the Italians and the Germans basically just followed up, and the Australians continued to withdraw. So you can see we have the 18th Australian Brigade in Bardia, the 22nd Guards Brigade holding Halifa Pass, 7th Armoured has come up in support, and the remnants of the 9th Australian holding this position in the rear of the escarpment, hoping to protect the Allies from further encirclement. Moving up against them, we have our Ariete and Trieste motorised infantry, and the 5th Light is also there. Also this turn, we've pretty much completed the assembly of the 15th Panzer. That's way over there in the Tripoli holding box. They're still waiting for their armoured brigade, but otherwise all the infantry, artillery, reconnaissance units and so forth are now gathered there. So they'll be moving to the front in a couple of game turns, I imagine. For the Allies, as well as the 7th Armoured, which has arrived as reinforcements, the 4th Indian is just rebuilding here. 1st Brigade of them have returned to the desert, and we've also got the 18th Indian Motorised Brigade there in Alexandria, taking on reinforcements or waiting for reinforcements to arrive, and the 4th Royal Tank Regiment's arrived, which is armed and equipped with Matildas, which hopefully will do well against the German armour. So we'll see how this game turn plays out. So far we've just done the strategic Allied attacks on Malta convoys and the convoy planning itself. For the Germans, we're still in a major supply period for the German forces, so they got about 19,000 tons of supplies shipped to them across the straits from Italy. The forces in Malta, Sunderland flying boats and other reconnaissance aircraft went out, and they intercepted one convoy that was bound for Tripoli. They've hit that with 2 waves of Wellington bombers and a wave of Swordfish torpedo bombers. They knocked out about 25% of the convoy, so they've done pretty serious damage to that convoy, but there were 6 convoys en route across the Mediterranean, so probably manageable for the Germans. They also knocked out 5 or 6 escorting G50 Italian fighters for the loss of a couple of their own Hurricanes. They also lost a couple of Wellingtons to defensive anti-aircraft fire, and a couple of the G50s that did break through the Hurricane fighter screen. Other than that, we've just taken on the reinforcements that I just described, and we'll be kicking off with the first operation stage when we do the next video. Otherwise, for the Italians, their 3 infantry divisions continue to march up the coast here. They've left one in Benghazi. They are all suffering increasing attrition as their lack of stores and supplies now means they've lost about 10% of their combat power. But hopefully they'll arrive in Trubuk and then indeed go on to send one through to garrison Bardia as well. And once they're in port cities, their supply situation eases considerably. Alright, otherwise the Germans will benefit from their recent capture of Tobruk, so their front 3 operational divisions will again, I'm sure, be going on the offensive this turn, whether they seek to capture Bardia or swing around the desert flank and cut off these Allied units that are holding the front line. We'll see as that operation stages unfolds. All right, back soon with the operation stages in Game Turn 30. Okay, so we're into the operations phase of this next Game Turn, and we've done the strategic air combat, which we talked about with convoys and interceptions run from Malta. We're now seeing the tactical first air segment, and we're seeing a massive airstrike as we've seen in previous turns, as the German and Italian air forces are now substantially refitted. They're now coming in to strike their next targets to try and clear the way. And there's a clear demonstration that the Axis air power is building faster than the Allies. So what have we got going on here? We have got a strike by the Desert Air Force against the 5th Light. We got 2 squadrons of Blenheims escorted by a squadron of Hurricanes that will successfully strike the 5th Light. There's no combat air patrol defending that. But supporting the Ariets assault on Bardia, we've got a massive German raid going in. 4 squadrons of Bf 110s with bomb loadouts. 3 squadrons of Ju-87s and a couple of escorting squadrons of Bf 109s. And against Sollum, we have a major Italian strike going on. 4 squadrons of FM79s, escorted by no less than 5 squadrons of CR-42 fighters. Both of those have lone squadrons of Hurricanes rising to defend those locations. This will be a tough one for the Allies. Let's see what happens as we execute all of that air combat. Lots of dice rolls. Okay, so the raids have gone in and you can see the small red dice next to these units. So the 18th Australian has got a couple of units pinned by the German airstrikes. The 5th Light itself has one of its units pinned by the Blenheim raid, and the Guards Brigade has also had a unit pinned. And down here in the south, the 9th Australian has had a serious result with 3 units pinned. Right, that's it for the air activity. We'll now move on to the ground movement. In terms of aircraft losses, it was also pretty negligible for both sides. The CR-42s didn't cause any losses against the Hurricanes, and the Bf 109s and the Hurricanes also caused no casualties on one another, and the anti-aircraft fire from the 5th Light only caused a couple of Blenheims to wave off their assaults, but no casualties on them. So air forces are still full strength, but now are refitting. All right, we're doing the assault by the 5th Light against the 9th Australian. The 9th Australian are actually quite a tough proposition here. They've got quite a lot of Tobruk artillery they extracted with themselves. So there's 6 25-pounder batteries with that division, which the 5th Light didn't appreciate before they assaulted. So we've got very significant anti-tank capability, and although the artillery was targeted by the Ju-88s when they hit the 9th Australian, we still got 10 anti-armour points to fire. So let's see what we do. We roll a 54, and consulting the anti-armour table, a 54 against 10 points causes 17 points of losses on the 5th Light. So we'll have to apply that to the German armour. I'll let you know how much 17 points of damage does. So pretty dramatic losses for the Germans. So we lost about 30 Panzer 3 H's and 4 or 5 Panzer 2s as well. So serious impact as the armoured echelons of the 5th Light were hammered by those concealed 25-pounders. Let's see how the subsequent close combat goes. So the 5th Armoured has a morale of 2. It gets a bonus of 1 because it's currently very coherent. It's won a whole lot of armoured combat, so it's pretty confident going across the desert. So that gives it a net armour value, a net morale value of 3. And in the close combat, it's got a modified close combat value of 15 against the Australians' modified close combat value of 7. I need to check the Australian morale, and then we'll apply the combat results. Okay, so having rolled for the 9th Australians' coherence, they're suffered a minus morale, 1 morale from all the movement they've been doing and the retreats they've been suffering before now. So this is a result on the +9 column of the close assault table. you roll a result for the attacker, and you roll a result for the defender. Let's see what we get. So for the attacker, we've rolled a 56. So that gives us no losses for the fifth light. So that will do them some good, given the number of armour that they lost running into those 25 pounder batteries. And we get a 32 for the 9th Australian. That is 20% losses, and on a 32, they have to retreat 1 hex or take an extra 10% losses. I think given the state they're in, they will retreat that hex. Okay, so the fifth light will regain some more coherence with another close combat victory, but they're not going to push for another attack. They'd like to recover some of those losses, and they are the most forward advanced of the German units. We might, however, move our reconnaissance battalion out to try and cut the communications off to the coast. So let's just have a look at whether that's working. Okay, so the reconnaissance battalion of the 5th Light, which had rejoined the 5th Light in that square but didn't participate in that assault, has got a movement allowance of 45, and they've only used 20 CP so far. So they're going to do what reconnaissance battalions do, and they've advanced down this track, down here, and they went across, following the track again, up and backwards to capture the airfield at Sidi Barrani, and they've cut now the supply lines, or at least the cross-land supply lines from Mercemery. So certainly the Allied units aren't cut off, but the road link has been cut, and the 5th Light looks in a good position to exploit and potentially encircle these Commonwealth units. All right, we'll do the next assault as the Trieste assaults the 22nd Guards at Sollum. All right, so the modified attack strength of the Italian motorised infantry is 8 combat points, and the 22nd Guards Brigade is 4. The Guards have done a defensive barrage and pinned a 2nd infantry unit, which reduced the Italians from 9 points to 8 points. But the Italians have won a succession of combats, so they've got a +6 cohesion, and that translated into a plus, I've got a 25 on +6, a +3 modifier. So their modified morale is +3, and the Scots Guards is, and the 22nd Guards is +1. So that gives the Italians a net +2 adjustment modifier. So they go from an 8-4, so a +4 modifier, to a, let me just check I got that right again, 25, 8, 4, 9, 4, 10, 4, 11, 4, so they're winning by 7 points, and they also get a +1 modifier for attacking down the escarpment into Sollum, so that's a +9 modifier. Let's see what the results are. So over, we can see the Trieste has captured Sollum. It's decided not to continue its assault against the 7th Armoured. It doesn't fancy Italian line infantry trying to assault British tanks. But the 22nd Guards Brigade had to retreat an extra hex because of the overstacking limits. So it couldn't stack with the 7th Armoured Division. You can only have 6 stacking points. 7th Armoured is 5, 22nd Guards Brigade is 2. So that's their movement. Let's see how the Ariete do against the now cut off 18th Australian Brigade in Bardia. All right, looking at the armoured assault by the Ariete against the 18th Australian Brigade. Again, the 25 pounders are proving invaluable. A 25 pounder battery and a 2 pounder battery performed anti-armour fire against the Arietes M13s and knocked out 15 of them. The Ariete did proceed its assault with an artillery barrage, but failed to pin any of the defensive anti-tank fire. And then looking at the raw combat values, we've got 11 points for the Ariete and only 7 for the 18th Australian Brigade. The Ariete has got tight cohesion, it's one repeated close assault, so it gets a +3 bonus at this stage. The 18th Australian is not suffering any disorganisation at the moment. I don't think. I will just check that. And it gets a +2 modifier for defending Bardia, which is a level 2 fortification as a result of attacking that town. So we've got 11, 12, 13, 14 modified for the Ariete, and 789 for the 18th Australian. So it's a +5 assault for the Ariete. We'll see how they do. Okay, so the 18th Australian suffered 10% losses, but they're going to stay in garrison, hoping they can ship themselves out as an emergency transport option, as they are already surrounded. So it was just a 10% loss and retreat 1 square. They're going to convert that to 20% losses and stay in place. There's an option for the Ariete to perform a further assault. All right, we're about to do the second turns of assault by the Ariete on the 18th Australian, and we, apologies, I've made a mistake in the previous round and in the start of this combat round. The 2 next to it was 2 pinned units in the Australians as a result of the massive strike by the Ju-87s and the Bf-110s. We chose to pin the 2 gun units, so the 2-pounders and the 25-pounders. So I've put the armour back on the Ariete. I haven't re-rolled the close combat result, even though that was reduced for the Ariete because it had lost some tanks. So we'll now do the close combat here, and it's +8 to the Italians. They rolled even better for their cohesion this turn. Again, having won another round of combat, that helped. So pretty bloody close combat this turn. The Ariete stormed in, and lucky it had got that armour back, because it took a lot of casualties in this assault. Took 15% casualties, so lost a further 15 in 13s, and lost the equivalent of another battalion of motorised infantry, half battalion of motorised infantry. But the Australians have taken 35% casualties, trying to hang in there in Bardia, and are in real trouble. Okay, so here we are. We've completed the first op stage at the end of April turn, 4th April turn in 1941. So pretty good results again for the Axis. 5th Light has successfully pushed the 9th Australian away from its blocking position, and its reconnaissance battalion has cut the Allied communications with Alexandria. The Trieste motorised infantry division has pushed the 22nd Guards out of Sollum and captured Halifa Pass, and the Ariete is continuing to pin the 18th Australian Brigade in Bardia, and has caused pretty extensive losses against it. A couple more assaults, I think, and Bardia will fall, and both of those Italian divisions will be able to move along the coast. The 7th Armoured has a difficult choice. Does it choose to remain? As a difficult choice, does it choose to remain in place and block those Italians and hope that the 22nd Guard and the Australians can hold off the 5th Light, or does it also look to pin back? At the moment it's hedged its bets and has stayed in place. Alright, hope you've enjoyed this brief summary, and I'll see you again next time.